To be an Apollonian, no leaps of faith or superstitious beliefs are required. In fact, they are prohibited. The answer is survival and amelioration is impossible without this metaphor. Superstition and leap of faith. I'm sorry, could you please substantiate this? You've already 3 paragraphs on contradicted and undermined your entire pitch of this retarded fucking religion, this LARPy fucking religion. Oh, this is it. The Apollonian transmission. So this is the page. Why is Apolloism 3.0? This is kind of weird. So this is it. This is really the only place to find any kind of information on it. It was Mark Branham who created it, and Richard Spencer seems to be big into it, and I guess some kind of like the rough equivalent of like a high priest or something. I have no idea, but he seems to be big on it and preaching it a lot. Real sussy, yeah, that was real sussy to look at that tweet from Fawn. Gotta love Johnson. Yeah. Testicle Johnson? Yeah. It is actually true, though, with Testy LOL. Oh, really? Those were his super chats? My cult is way cooler? Really? You have yet to prove that. You haven't yet demonstrated that. I'm going to give you the Hawes treatment. The first obvious question is, why this LARPing? Apollo? Get real. To be clear, Apolloism is in part a political formation. From a Christian concept of religion, it might also be understood as a secular formation. To be an Apollonian, no leaps of faith or superstitious beliefs are required. In fact, they are prohibited. Apollo, in contrast to Bacchus, is the intoxicating personal salvation gods that are derived from him, including Christ, is a god of sobriety, clear-sightedness, and clear thinking. Wait, are you saying you believe a god named Apollo actually exists? Not in the manner a Christian understands to the extent of his god, but in the manner all gods exist, or at least in any evident dimension as metaphor. Here's where things become especially meaningful. Okay, so like the kind of the way that I sort of approach gods and goddesses and stuff, it's like they exist insofar as the will of the people who believe in them, right? The fact that people believe in gods means that those gods exist in their view, from their perspective. Even though I don't believe in those gods, it's something that comes from them, and it's internally kind of resolved, like element of that person. They identify with it. It answers unanswerable from their perspective questions. It gives solace. It gives finality. It gives meaning and makes people feel comfortable about the chaotic and crazy world that they live in, because it also then gives it order. Things are by God's design. You are there by God's design. Your fate is guided by the hand of God, etc. It gives an artificial sense of order to people who live in an otherwise uncontrolled, chaotic world where they feel like their lives are out of control. Do you believe any gods exist IRL? No, I do not. That we're just humans who got worshipped and immortalized like Jesus Christ. I don't believe in any gods. Now, there may yet come evidence someday that points to the contrary, and then I may start to wonder if there are gods, but I've never seen anything to suggest that there are gods. So, until that happens, I don't believe. I'm agnostic, but I believe in Earthseed for fun. I almost read that as Eraserhead, which is an excellent movie. What the fuck is Earthseed? I don't know. It's a religion from a book. if anything, I'm probably like closer in line with with like a pantheon of some sort. Like I think that makes a lot more sense for people. I think people can get along better that way too. A culture who has a religion that can integrate the gods of various other religions in a way that's pantheonic, I think is something that works really well historically speaking. But everybody, there's always some ruler that wants to come in and say that their particular god is the one true god and then smash the pantheon. Like Aten. Aten did that. And or Akhenaten was the one who did it, but Aten was the god that he did it with. And then Tutankhamun, his heir, brought the pantheon back. Let's see. I believe that people are imaginative and could conceive something better than us in every way. Supermna? Supermna? Superman. God of War, let's go. All right. Precisely as Yahweh is a clear metaphor and synonym for the Jew or Jewry, Apollo is unequivocally a metaphor and synonym for the Nordic Aryan or the Aryan race. There's some cringe. There's some cringe for you. More, he's a metaphor for the eugenically sound Nordic Aryan. So the purebloods. Oh my gosh. Oh no. More, he is by far the best representative of this surviving from a pre-Christian past. There isn't another god of metaphor that is even close. Yahweh actually is pre-Christian. Not to represent Nordic people, though, because the concentration of the world's population was not anywhere near there. There were a lot of disparate theological, paths going on in different regions, but nothing really cohesive. This is wild. So it's just a way to codify white supremacy into a religion, which you can just do that with Christianity. Why reinvent the wheel? Let's see. Hence, to be plain, to honor Apollo, one honors their race, particularly its best element. To be plainer, Apollo is a synonym of the Aryan race. Yet Apollo is a profoundly more civilized and powerful word for it. Hence, one weird trick for victory is simply a change in language. Okay, this is something that I always find to be so fucking weird. What is it with right-wingers and symbolism? Why do they always need symbolism? They need gods, they need symbols, they need flags, they need, labels and shit. And they need all these different things that like make up this aesthetic for what it is that they believe. Obviously, some people on the far left do this as well, but symbolism seems to be largely popular on the right wing. Like, you take a look at protests, who are the ones coming out with all the symbols on shields and flags and everything? It's the right wingers. All you really get on the left is you get the occasional cringy anti-fascist LARPer who has like the red and black flag or something, but it's pretty rare. Usually, all the symbols are found with the right wingers, and it's like, why? What the fuck is the point? What's with all the aesthetic and all the LARPing and everything? What's with all like hailing back to, Roman times and ancient Greece and everything and resurrecting these gods and these old, religions and stuff and turning them into symbolism of your movement and everything? It's just so stupid. Come on. Like, can your values not win on their merits alone? Do you have to dress everything up with this try hard LARPy aesthetic of like some, golden god with, with some, phallic weapon and shit or phallic, symbol? Like, how about you win people over on the merits of your values and beliefs and positions instead of winning them over on a retarded fucking aesthetic, a retarded LARPy aesthetic? This is the big problem. Like, ultimately, this is the big problem with the far right having traction, because they rely on the aesthetic more than they do having meritorious arguments. It's about being a part of some LARPy retarded aesthetic. That's how they win people over. That belonging and that being a part of something and being part of a purpose. It's the aesthetic and the symbolism and the imagery and the names that make people feel like they're serving a greater purpose. And that's why they join. They don't join because of the merits of these positions. They join because of the retarded fucking LARP. And that's it. And so that's all they get are a bunch of fucking LARPers. That's all they get. Oh, man. I mean, not all of us right-wingers do that. Well, fair enough, Twisted Aviator, but it is unusually common on the right, especially the far right. Obviously, the far right is the most LARPy wing of the right. But, it's just like, at least aesthetically LARPy. But, yeah. You know what we need to do? We need to get all the LARPers into Minecraft and then... We'll not continue that thought. Anyways, let's resume this. It is really that simple. Culture speaks to women and children. Culture speaks to the herd, which is feminine. It whispers, it sings, it is gentle. No wonder Richard likes this, the dude who beats his wife, his ex-wife, right? It's also infantilizing of women. Yes, it is a lie, but with Apollo, the god of truth, it is a lie that is true. To wit, it is a lie that is salubrious. Why do we require this metaphor? The answer is survival and amelioration is possible without this metaphor. Impossible. Okay, hang on. I would just want to show you a contradiction that was made earlier. To be an Apollonian, no leaps of faith or superstitious beliefs are required. In fact, they are prohibited. The answer is survival and amelioration is impossible without this metaphor. Superstition and leap of faith. I'm sorry, could you please substantiate this? You've already 3 paragraphs on contradicted your 3 or 4 paragraphs on contradicted and undermined your entire pitch of this retarded fucking religion, this LARPy fucking religion. You've just undermined the whole goddamn thing. Ameliorate, call Vosh. Use salubrious. That's even more than Vosh would ever do. Vosh might use insalubrious, though. Hence, Apollo. Oh, I didn't finish that without this metaphor. This is why Apollo is sacred and why we must make him sacred again. Right there, leaps of faith and superstition with no substantiation. Hence Apollo, whether culturally masked by an artist or as a novel figure, to incept the god into the minds of millions as a preparatory action, or openly revealed, becomes the definitive hero of parable whereby the Aryan race is shown victorious. Imagine using all those words to sound intellectual when so far you're pitching pseudo-intellectualism and you're pitching an argument for fostering and engaging in pseudo-intellectualism because you're admitting that people need a dumbed down and simplified metaphor and symbolism to keep them in line. It is by showing this Aryan victory through myth and parable that one brings it into being. One prophesizes it. Hence Apollo, the definitive Aryan, becomes the first and central element of a moralizing propaganda, religion, and art tradition. This is an art and religion tradition that is creative, undogmatic, and unbeholden to dusty false gods that often were never ours to begin with. It is bound and loyal only to the Aryan race, Apollo. So let's break that down a little bit. So obviously, the far right, they're going to openly lean into propaganda, right? But there's the old saying, art is propaganda. There's a book on that. It's a good book. This is an art and religion tradition that is creative, undogmatic, and beholden to dusty false gods. Okay, so contradiction again. The answer is survival and amelioration is impossible without this metaphor. This is why Apollo is sacred and why we must make him sacred again. This is dogmatic by definition. This is based on faith. This is a leap of faith, and it is superstitious. It is not substantiated. It is not based in fact. It is based on a religious premise, and it is by definition a dogmatic position when speaking of it this way. So, but contradiction again, one paragraph later, undogmatic and unbeholden to dusty false gods that often were never ours to begin with. Well, I guess if you include that we're often not ours to begin with, I guess it depends on your perspective. I would say Apollo doesn't belong to anybody of the last, 2,000 plus years. So never really belonged to anybody of today. But of course, they like to do this whole purity of lineage crap, but I doubt they could even prove their purity of lineage. What do they call it? Eugenically sound Nordic heritage? Or eugenically sound Nordics? Whatever it was they said earlier. This is funny. This is funny. It's already contradicted itself multiple times here. Okay, indeed, like the Jewish god, Apollo, the master of all arts, is a living god, knowledgeable in symbols and capable of the intelligent production of moralizing art and propaganda. He is a fertility god that reestablishes through art, propaganda, and religion the natural hierarchy where it is taken for granted, for example, that to women the Aryan man is by far the most desirable. He restores the senses and healthy instincts. Oh, it's an incel religion. Oh, they're tired of people of color and of other ethnicities taking their white women. It's the try hard white nationalist incel religion. Okay, this is making a lot more sense. The absurdity and the contradictions and everything are making a lot more sense now. They're not trying to present a real coherent case. They're just trying to signal to disenfranchised white boys who are frustrated that black men are taking their women. I think that's where this is going. That's the way it's starting to read anyway. But, is it about white women? We hating them more? No, it's talking about how the religion effectively dictates that women should find white men to be the most viable and the most attractive. It's a mandate on women to only couple with white men. It's an incel religion. Richard Spencer is championing an incel religion. Based. Let's see. Let's pull up. I've been ignoring chat. I'm sorry, guys. Spencer is ripping off Fuentes. Kind of is. I don't think it's going to lead down to a new era of radicalism if people try looking into this, but maybe centrist or right-wing people might fall into a rabbit hole. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think it's going to be like disenfranchised young white boys who are going to be kind of falling into this kind of thing. Because we'll be talking about, hey, you know why you can't get a girl? Because the bad guys are taking your women. So we've got this religion that mandates, you just need to preach this religion to the girls that mandates that they have to like you and they have to only get with you. You know, that's basically how this is going to work. Here we return to a classical sense of religion. And indeed, we declare Apolloism a religion. After all, it would function in many ways that are similar to the cult of Judaism. Notice how they say this is a religion and Christianity is a religion, but Judaism is a cult. The cult of Judaism, if also in many important ways that are different. Its goal, of course, is the opposite of Judaism's. Yet, as Judaism, it would be a cult. As Judaism, it would be a cult interested in securing secular worldly power so as to protect, ameliorate, and vastly empower the race it represents. Wow. Oh, man. Just unironic JQing right there. Right out in the open. Yeah, it's a white incel religion. Sorry, I allowed that one. So this is super try hard. Look, we're gonna cook. Women are submissive and they're the sheep and they must follow the man and they must couple only with white men. And the Jewish question, we're baking that all into the religion. Oh, and white supremacy. So we got white supremacy, the Jewish question, and the evil cabals of Jewish people ruling the world through secularism, as they put the power over the secular world, and that Judaism is a cult. Women are to be submissive and obey their men, and must only couple with white men. That's what they're baking into the religion right off the rip. So, not gonna lie, this is a banger. You should also create your own religion for content. I probably should, huh? Zoniaism. Of course, I do have there is like the meme of Zoniaism. It goes back years in my community, but it oftentimes the autocorrect will correct it to Zionism. So people will try to type in, they'll be on their phones typing in Zoniaism as like a joke in my Discord or something, or in my stream chat, and it'll autocorrect to Zionism, and they'll be like, shit, no, I meant Zoniaism, not Zionism. So an unfortunate, autocorrect issue there, because unfortunately, most of the dictionaries out there do not have Zonia or Zoniaism in them. So what you all need to do is you all need to type in Zoniaism in your phone somewhere, and then when it shows that an autocorrect or to add the word, you need to go and add the word to your dictionary. And once many of you start adding it to your dictionaries on your iPhones and your Androids and such, before long, it'll become a standard word in the dictionaries of all mobile phones. So we don't have to worry about autocorrect anymore. Everyone get the Wikipedia now? True. The focus is on the here and now, or the cosmos, as it were called in Christian theology. Or if we allow ourselves distraction from this, if we cede this world to our adversary, who reveals himself constantly to be dishonest, cruel, and malevolent. Their adversary, as they stated in the previous paragraph, is Judaism and Jewish people. Then by no reasonable definition might we be called good, only cowardly. So, get this. The whole thing has been primed on Judaism and Jewish people being the antithesis to what is going on in here. In the previous paragraph, they even refer to it as the enemy. And then here, they're baking in that to not focus on this cosmos, if they allow themselves distraction from this cause, that they cede this world, the whole world, to their adversary, who reveals himself constantly to be dishonest, cruel, and malevolent. So it's not just JQing, it's baked in from the core of the belief of the religion that Jewish people are unironically evil and that they are the enemy. Honestly, Stardust, you have got to read this before you ever bring on Retard Spencer again. Like, before you ever bring him on again, you got to read through this. And you've got to, like, write down all the points. I should have been taking notes, honestly. But I'll get through this in the edits, right? Any invisible afterworld god that rejects us on this basis, or on some petty insistence we honor some specific Jewish name, is himself evil and ultimately unappeasable, or appeasable only through passivity before evil. God damn. This is what Richard Spencer is trying to preach. This is what Richard Spencer is trying to bring out to the world. And yet it is true, one name and banner is important for us to once more begin to cohere. Why would you word this sentence this way? And yet it is true, one name and banner is important for us to once more begin to cohere. Let me go to my thesaurus and find a word, a fancy word for us to congregate or to collaborate. And let me find the most obscure word I can that is not used anymore in modern discourse. And let me just find the most try-hard of these words. All right, thesaurus.com. What do we got here? Cohere. That's actually, I've never heard that one before. I don't recall ever hearing that in anything. That'll make me look smart. I'm going to put cohere in there. That's what this person is doing. This person spent a lot of time on the thesaurus while writing this. And one may not have two or multiple gods before him. One acknowledges the existence of other gods and powers, as the Christian acknowledges demons. All the other gods are demons. In this way, he is a polytheist. Yet, he does not honor them above Apollo, the Aryan race. Unlike Judaism, Apolloism will not look outside for its brides, but rather there would be an actual matrilineal requirement. Rather, it will grow its talent from within. So we're talking a lot of inbreeding in the beginning until you finally get to a point where there's enough retards in the pool to eliminate the genetic line. It will be eugenically minded toward a beautiful, intelligent, strong, and well-rounded Nordic sort. So a lot of celiac disease. Keep that in mind. It's going to be a lot of celiac disease. They're going to have a lot of issues eating wheat, barley, and rye. They won't be able to have their beer or ale unless it's strictly gluten-free, so it's going to be like sorghum ale. And if they do try to push past it and continue eating gluten, they will end up with wasting disease as the villi of their intestines get eaten away by their own immune system and make it so they can't process nutrients anymore. And then they become nutrient starved and die off. Sounds very effective. Actually, I think this is a good idea. I think they should engage in this. They'll basically have a long lineage of retards and people dying of wasting disease, and eventually, the retards will become infertile and won't be able to procreate. So, problem solves itself in the end. You know what, Richard Spencer? Good on you. Go do this. I see a great future for your people. Remember, kids, genetic diversity is a good thing. Understanding the appeal of Judaism, Judaism gains by pretending endogamy, elitism, and exclusiveness. Apolloism would actually practice this. Hence, it would gain this appeal in earnest because its pride is real. Rather, people, particularly women, sense when pride is real. Holy superstition again? Superstition? Leaps of faith? This is some of the most contradictory shit I've seen in a while. It functions to them as a magnet. In this case, a magnet with the gravitational pull of the sun. Okay, I really want to talk to Richard Spencer now because I really want to press him on these contradictions and everything. I want to talk to him about this, see what he has to say for himself. I actually do want to talk to that idiot about this kind of stuff. Anybody who can read through this and take it seriously in any way, shape, or form and not see that it contradicts itself within 4 paragraphs, it is not a critical thinker and has blinded themselves to what's actually being said here and is literally just a person of faith who's like, yeah, hate Jews. This sounds good. White women are for us. Yeah, this sounds good. Yeah. That's basically the only way that you can process this in any way, because any other way that you're going to process it, you're going to be like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. This seems a little cuckoo to me and very faith-based and contradictory to its own claims and its own advocacy. I like Richard Spencer sounds smart when people talk to him, but he's like socially smart, right? Thank you, a little bits, for gifting a 1-month tier to Mindwaves. So, what was I saying? Somebody put in a thank clouds emote. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, Richard Spencer. Sounds smart, but he's socially smart. The dude is actually an idiot. Like, anybody who thinks that this sounds like a reasonable document or a reasonable religion, or that it makes any kind of sense, or that it will have... Oh, well, actually, hold on. Let me roll that back a little bit. He might be smart enough to realize that there are a lot of idiots out there who are looking for something to belong to and looking for purpose, who will fall for retarded shit like this. That he may be smart in that respect. But if he in any way, shape, or form believes that this is some kind of a reasonable or convincing document, or that the religion is not completely self-contradictory and effectively eliminates its own synopsis out the door and eliminates its own basis for existence within 4 paragraphs, if he doesn't recognize that, then the man is a genuine idiot with regard to parsing this. But it may be that he's clever enough to realize that it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be reasonable. It doesn't have to, be consistent. It doesn't have to be non-retarded. And that there are a lot of idiots out there who will just believe it, and a lot of gullible people who just want to belong to something. So that may be what's going on here. Maybe that's where I do want to talk to him about this, though. You think I should platform Richard Spencer? As a religion, it would gain the legal protections of a religion, essential in this day of unmitigated anti-white hatred. It would also gain religion's plausible deniability. Wonderful. One could actually claim to believe in an existing Apollo if pressed. So it's basically a manifesto. One could disavow the racist as they put it, ideas of M. Brahman and declare that they have a different, truer concept of the ancient religion. Alternatively, one could call himself a secular Apollonian. In other words, one could readily play all the games that Jews do, or at least for any period in which this is expedient. It's a manifesto. It's a manifesto. This is a manifesto. It doesn't need to. Welcome to fascism. Welcome to non-critical thinking and the desire to want to belong to a group and have purpose and be accepted. If you make fun of his religion, I'm here for it. I mean, obviously, this is some of the dumbest shit I've heard in a while. This is where atheists fail. Religious people need community and goal/purpose. Well, that's true. I mean, even atheists have that. That's why they join a lot of other forms of identity groups and stuff, and label themselves a bunch of things and shit like that. There aren't many of us who are like the genuine outsiders and like loners. We're pretty rare. Most people want to be accepted and have purpose and belong to something. And there are not a lot of us who are averse to that. Evolutionarily speaking, it's very human to want that. Those of us who are the loners, we're actually kind of like the oddballs, the aliens, the weird experiments in the gene pool, who sometimes succeed and sometimes completely fail. Yeah. Because most people have an uncontrollable desire to want to be accepted. And there are the rare few of us who have a strong aversion to it. They aren't racist? That is a bummer. They seem pretty racist to me. Wait, who are you talking about? I am mostly a loner, but I still need some community. I get really tired of community really quickly. That's why you see me floating around in communities and like changing friend groups and stuff like that. I just get real tired of being in any particular group for any period of time, and I'll move on after a while. I just get tired of it. So like, I never really considered myself to be a part of other communities. Like, I've been a semi-regular person in Chud Logic's community and stuff. Spent a lot of time in Spicy Chat, but got tired of it, moved on, and haven't really been active in Spicy Chat for the past several months just because I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I like the people there. It's nothing on them. I just don't like being a part of a group for very long. And I've always been that way. And I've always been a loner. What if I'm Mediterranean? What if I'm short? What if I'm less than Apollonian? All men are distinct from Apollo in his idealized form. In his idealized form. That should be form, not from. Typo. Okay. And all are less than Apollo, and perhaps particularly in this day. Apolloism describes both an ideal eugenic type, but also aspirational. The Apollonian is both the relatively eugenic fit Nordic Aryan and the man who supports and defends this vital and racially youthful type. Who knows? Without him, the plant of civilization will receive no light and will wither from the universe altogether, at best fossilizing into something uncreative, unambitious, something Chinese. Whoa! Then at this point, a meteorite will appear and the end. Okay, so what do we have here? So they said, well, if you don't fit our ideal vision of what a man is, then you get to be our cuck. That's what they're saying. You can cuck for us, you know. We're okay with that. We do need our cucks. You can go out there and cuck yourself to us by spreading the word of our religion and defending our religion for us and taking the blows for us, taking one for the team, so to speak. But you don't get to procreate. You don't get our women. God damn. You know what this smacks of? By the way, reading through this, you know what it smacks of? Mein Kampf. If you guys haven't read Mein Kampf, the unabridged version, you need to read it. Read Mein Kampf. You don't have to read the whole thing. Just read enough to kind of get a feel for how it presents itself. It presents itself just like this. So all this shit that I've been reading to you, all the wordiness, the excessive words, the archaic words, the thesaurus crawling, and the run-on sentences, the excessively flowery ways of trying to get to a point, and the verbosity, and the Aryan purity and eugenic purity crap. It's all very Mein Kampf. Like, this feels almost like parts of it were copy-pasted out of Mein Kampf and reworded a little bit using them, online thesaurus. But so much of this reads like Mein Kampf. I recommend you guys take a look at it. Keep in mind, it's retarded. It's some of the dumbest shit I've ever read, because Hitler was one of the wordiest people ever, who took a long time to get to a point, exceedingly verbose, did the same thing using a bunch of try-hard words and try-hard language, stuff that people never use. And it's saying stupid stuff like this that doesn't make any sense, that contradicts itself, that any rational person with some critical thinking skills will look at and go, this is dumb. So, but yeah, never read it. Yeah, it's cringe, and I don't expect any of you to get through it. I would never ask you to. It's unbelievably lengthy, but like, read a few chapters in and you will see exactly what I'm telling you. Yet Apollo is a rejecting and vetting god. With him, there is the Thargelia. Bad or base people will be rejected after a fair assessment without compunction. Virtue, fealty, and quality will be the criteria. Fealty! Okay, I wonder who's judging it. I bet it's going to be like a really short, ugly dude who doesn't pass who wouldn't pass the test on 23andMe, not even close, who's doing all the assessing. You're kind of, you look pretty Nordic to me, but I don't think your genes are good. I don't think your genes are very good. You know, it'd be some idiot like that. He's like trying to determine who the ideal, the eugenic ideal Nordic Aryan is. Kermit, yeah, like a Kermit. Oh man. Let's look up this guy, M. Brahmin. M. Brahmin. No, not the cast. Does this guy have no face?
You know in about a month if you subscribe to me, all right?
Stop it. Let me see. M. Brahmin. That should be him. Great. He's a faceless person. We don't even know what the guy looks like. Latino are the best race? I don't think there is a best race. Race is very wonky anyway. We have expanded what constitutes white. Like my people weren't considered to be white when we first got to the US. But now we're considered to be white. We sure weren't treated like it though originally, but we were not considered to be white when we first got here. The best race is furries? That I could probably get behind, yeah. Without Apollo, the god of arts and music, you have no way of accessing the mind of the flock. You are a political man, a drab, worried, complaining man with no culture, no charisma, no truly wooing propaganda, and no interest except the futile will to power of a man with no means to it. Instead, you live in a hovel among the deltas of the salting sea, downstream from the culture that has massively enlarged your adversaries. Without Apollo, the light goes out on the human race forever. More superstition and leaps of faith, you guys. More superstition and leaps of faith. I am white, but in terms of good-looking people. Wait, I'm white, but in terms of good-looking people, I don't get it. Made half of chat racist. Hey, can we get some in chat? This is some of the cringiest shit I've seen in a while. Strange costumes, rituals, and temples. There are no immediate plans for this, but such things develop. You know what? Hang on.
Holy shit, dude. That's teeth clattering cringe, my dude.
True. Okay, get this. How do I keep ignoring YouTube chat? Sorry guys, I got the chat aggregator up. Okay. Think about this. They're talking about how they are downstream from culture, that what little culture they think they have is the byproduct of other cultures that other people, other races have been further empowered by and created adversaries to your own race, right? So basically saying that white people have no culture because it's all derivative of all sorts of other cultures, downstream from other culture. And now the white man is hated upon and is being erased. And so what they're saying is we need a new culture of our own and religion of our own that prioritizes the white race and the purity of the white race. And so now think about this. Think about what's going on here. The these people are lost. They're directionless. They're rudderless, right? They feel like they have no holding to anything, no anchor, no people, and they're looking for something not just to belong to, but to sort of be their own that isn't the byproduct of someone else's thing. The funny thing about this is, so I told you guys earlier about like some of my multiculturalism and like how my culture is derivative of so many other cultures. I celebrate Hindu holidays, I celebrate Buddhist holidays, I celebrate secular holidays, I celebrate Christian holidays, I celebrate a lot of different cultural things. I go to Diwali parties. I go to Navratri parties. I go to Vietnamese New Year parties. I go to Christmas parties, right? All these things. And to me, they're all like a part of my collective culture, you know? And so I have the stuff that comes from the Christian heritage that I come from. And as a matter of fact, one of the things I've really wanted to do is bring back the traditions of my my Irish heritage and kind of make them a little bit more prominent, because I feel like I haven't really done a lot with them. Like Savan would probably be a really like something I would probably like to celebrate in more the traditional Gaelic fashion. And like that might be kind of fun. And I have a sari that actually has my Irish family crest, like my ancestors' crest, as the motifs on the sari. So it's a traditional Indian garment that actually has a part of my own culture and heritage on it. And so it's sort of like the fusing of two cultures, that like one is one where I come from, and the other one is what I've been exposed to and cross-pollinated with. And if I were to have kids, my kids would have that same multicultural infusion. So they would have some Desi culture and some Hindu culture and some Christian culture and some Gaelic culture. You know, they would have these things all kind of as part of their culture. And then they would get exposed to other things that would amend their own culture. And if they had kids, their kids would have the sum of their culture. So that's how culture works. No culture is pure. All culture is derivative. It's all derived from other cultures and other influences and adapted from the world around them and from history and such. So these guys are basically going and saying, we're lost. We feel insignificant. We feel like we can't make our mark in the world. We feel like we don't have purpose. So we're going to blame it on everybody else. We're going to externalize the blame to everybody else for having culture, and from our perspective, having purpose and belonging. And we're going to blame it on us being the victims of white genocide. And we're going to turn that into a religion of our own to codify that victim status and that externalizing of blame. That's what they're doing. This is a religion that codifies being a baby bitch and a cuck. Sign me up. Are you like 3 minutes behind? Jesus meow? Yeah. So put it on 1.5x speed and you'll catch up, and then it'll go to normal speed once it catches up. Yeah, so they're codifying being a victim and the externalizing of blame into their religion.
Hello, my friend.
So let's resume
Stay a
this.
while and listen.
Welcome, Freya. Freya for Unity. Welcome. What do us poor cucks do? Who knows? Hi. Strange costumes, rituals, and temples. There are no immediate plans for this, but such things develop naturally, particularly to the delight of children and women, as this study explicates. Yikes. Huh. And when they do, they wouldn't be so strange. Or when they do, they won't be strange. There will be no cringe, LARPing, or tolerance for it. This whole thing is nothing but cringe LARP. The great artisans of the future, understanding symbol through Roman interpretation and practicing God masking until they may reveal the Godhead, will appear from Apolloism only. For there will actually be criteria. Ritual will become, in some cases, merely the consuming of this moralizing art, of children acting out their favorite scenes of triumph. Early interview with J.F. Gariepy. And when I was searching around for this, I actually saw this pop up, because the video isn't available here. I saw it pop up somewhere where he was being interviewed about this. Yet, for this brief moment, Apollo is just a name, as well as many who believe in him. But to be sure, there are a few things more powerful than a name. Encoded in this one is the prophecy of immortal life, and not merely for your own selfish person. More, Apollo is your name as well. This can be said of no other god and no other means to victory. I'm telling you, man, anybody who joins this, I don't know how you could join this and not be completely embarrassed that you're taking this seriously. But he will not seek you. He will not pander to you. He will not lie to you. He lives above and will not come down. You must seek him. Oh boy. How can Richard Spencer not be embarrassed to talk about Apolloism and that he's part of it and that he wants to spread it? Like, how could you not be embarrassed by that? You're literally embracing a religion that codifies cuckoldry, that codifies being a victim, that codifies blaming everybody else for your problems. Shit is nuts, yeah. Wait, you can't project onto Richard Spencer? People drink Jesus' blood via wine on Sunday. I can see some wild stuff passing. True. Horseshoe? Horseshoe? Well, now we know that Richard Spencer is not just a victim, but a religious victim. I guess we learned something interesting about Richard.